What is going on, everybody? In this video, we're providing you a state of the market and stock picks for September 9th, 2022. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, consider subscribing, as I do provide daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day in the week ahead in this glorious market that we are in. So, state of the market. Today was the big day of the ECB and Powell. ECB came in as expected with a 75-point basis move, uh, roughly following a 50-point basis move, roughly following about a decade of no rate increases. European banking system is becoming a disaster, to say the least. This isn't to mention that we haven't even got into the winter months. With inflation, they haven't even seen peak inflation yet. It's going to get a lot worse, and I don't see the war over there stopping before Christmas. So, with that being said, it's going to be an interesting back half of the year. But with that said, you did have Powell today, and he didn't say anything different. He came in with his normal Powell self and said, "We're going to do whatever it takes." If that is not a warning, you should have got more of a warning before when he said that you're going to feel the pain because you're going to get hit with another 75-point basis move coming here at the end of September. Now, normally the Fed futures priced in a 75-point basis move for ECB, and the futures have been pretty accurate so far. We'll see if that holds true for ours, as we are pricing in, I believe it's over 70% now of a 75-point basis move. I think it's actually tipping closer to that 80% for a 75-point basis move. So, with that being said, nothing is new. The problem we are having here and why the market is pushing is because this is becoming the new norm. The more we do these 75-point basis moves, you don't understand the significance and the impact this is going to make. The stock market is not the economy. We understand that, but the world in general is falling apart and really bad. Like the cracks, we just started to see the cracks. We're starting to see some major. We're going to see some major issues coming up very shortly in the next couple quarters. But with that being said, the market will still push. Again, something I've always said, the market is designed to push up. Being said, tomorrow and Monday, we don't really have much. Yeah, we have some more speakers. In my mind, we are waiting for Tuesday now. We are waiting for core CPI. We want to see where we sit. Now, this is something to consider. If we do have a bigger drop of inflation, that could fuel a huge rally, in my opinion. Being said, yes, we are not Europe, but the impact of what's going over there is going to eventually affect us. It's going to cause more of a catalyst, more of a black swan event as we pretend like nothing is happening. But again, you have multiple black swan events that are potentially gaining traction, and we are aware of these things in energy costs and in the housing sector, especially if mortgage rates continue to climb. This isn't something that's going to be reported on any document. What's going to happen is you're going to continue to get rate increases until you get all of a sudden a massive flood of bankruptcies across the plane, and that's going to induce panic. Then the market will flush. Rolling blackouts, right? Energy crises, and seeing where that goes, especially going into the winter months. If we have a really bad winter, it could get really nasty. Especially, we've seen what's happened in Texas just a couple of years ago when they got hit with a snowstorm. They haven't done anything to upgrade anything since then. They just it was a freak accident. Now we'll just wait and see. And so now you have energy shortage, and that's going to even play a bigger impact on all that stuff. Yes, and we're reusing tons of resources right now in hopes that things get better shortly, but in the long term, they don't. And what we're doing right now is not sustainable. Stuff has to get back to normal. And the Fed realized that part because that's why they're continuing to come in with these um, rate raises, which in fact they don't actually help with the issues with energy. They're making things worse, but that's the only tool they have to try to correct it, to stop people from buying stuff. But you're still trying to balance it by sending billions to Ukraine, so the circulation of money is still there, so the demand is still there. You're artificially creating demand in a sense, because there is demand there because they are in a war, but you are fueling your own desire, greed, by continuing to feed this nasty beast, and essentially that we are in. But all that being said, I still think next week obviously is very pivotal. The core CPI is very pivotal. Technical wise, I think the market's kind of letting up just because they're not really sure. Maybe there's a slight chance that we come in lower with the core, and that would fuel things. Again, it really just depends on where it's sitting at. If it's hasn't moved much, that would be a cause of concern that the Fed would have to come in 75 or greater. Again, if it pops over 9.1, you better believe the Fed's going to come in with a 100-point basis move. And then that's just going to increase the odds of bankruptcies, or expedite that whole process with bankruptcies very fast. But with those things being said, there's not much more to feed into that. I've kind of played the same song and dance, and so has Powell. Powell is not letting up, and he wants people to know that. People are like, yeah, sure, Powell. But I guarantee you, if it comes over 9.1, he's going to come in with a 100-point basis move. And then what are we going to do at that point? We already seen mortgages hit the highest rate. Mortgage interest rates have hit their highest rate since 2008, just to put things in perspective. But with all that being said, technical wise, I'm really watching again this 40-60 mark. It's the first break and retest. I think we can get a bit of a pop in tomorrow. That would make sense. And then we could potentially flush back down here, back down to that 4K mark, I think, or the 39.60 roughly. Going into Monday, going into the core CPI in preparation, we might sell and hold around this point. I think is where we're going to be at. And so that's what I'm kind of watching. Again, we don't want to break that 3,900. It's held pretty well thus far. But if we do break, again, your levels are 38.35, 37.20. You're going to have some big drops here. So if it breaks that 3,900, you're going to get some big drops. Then potentially start inducing panic if we start getting back down towards this 39, 36, 36. People think that we haven't hit bottom. Ultimately, in my mind, I think we could go further, but we need one of the catalysts to play out. When the catalysts do not play out, I don't see us breaking 36, 36. But it's not saying we can't revisit it. But again, I think we need a bigger event to cause it. We see it going on, but it needs to actually occur. One of these catalysts need to actually play out. So again, watching those levels, jumping and talking about Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin again still holding roughly. It's barely holding that 18K 700 mark. Again, if it breaks that, I think it can get a pretty heavy flush. Bitcoin really hasn't even moved, to be honest. The market is waiting on this inflation and waiting more so on the inflation. People want to know if the inflation is going to come down. I think at this point, we already know where the Feds stand. It's more so, well, what can the inflation do? Is it coming down or not? And again, I think we could have a pretty epic rally if it comes down a lot, or we can have induce a lot of fear if it breaks over 9.1. Tesla, nice little breakout here. Kind of looking at the support here at the 285 mark. May potentially take a position here with tight stop, take shares on this, potentially ride it back to 311. Kind of what I'm looking at. I want to again see how the market sentiment is, but this if tech's going to be okay. The thing is the Fed is stating that the economy is really, really bad. The market's going to take that as a very bullish sentiment that the Fed will dial back. That's not the case. The Fed is going to go off. The Fed doesn't care about the workforce. They talked about this. They care about inflation. Is inflation fixing itself? If not, they're going to come in higher again. And so the market, if market continues to run and then we find out that inflation is not peaked, which you can, go back and forth. What every report's not going to really matter. But if we jump back over 9.1, we haven't peaked, obviously, and the market's going to panic. And that's what we're worried about and why Tuesday is such a big deal. But again, watching this level here for Tesla, I think if the market rallies, I think Tesla could potentially see a big play tomorrow in that push, because I think the general market could push. The banks actually look really good right now. So I want to keep that one on watch tomorrow. Avago is actually an interesting one. A lot of the cloud space ones have been doing very well. I think this could potentially push up to the 532 as well. But this is one I didn't really want to bring this one up as far as tomorrow, but if we do have a downward spike tomorrow, because again, it could go 50-50 tomorrow, especially in this market. I'm again really watching that 480 mark down here for potential entry and keep a tight stop on this. I think, again, the cloud service space is doing very well during this time. So just trying to find a play in service industries, considering a lot of the better stocks have stock split and aren't, with the diluted shares aren't moving as much. Apple, really bad position. I'm just going to go ahead and bring this one up. Apple is in a really bad position. It hasn't done anything but continue to turn over. Its setup looks like it's about ready to dump. There's more lockdowns going on in China. If this thing does give, the rest of the markets are going to soon follow. So you definitely want to keep that on watch. BA still retesting. If it can't break back above this 158, this is going to start selling off. A lot of things are setting up for the next move down. So if we start breaking up, it would surprise me that we would do so, even though I think tomorrow, whatever push we're going to get is going to be sold off going into Tuesday, and then see where we end up. But I do expect we could have a pretty nice move up, and then determine what happens there. Again, overnight digestion, what Powell said, overnight digestion of the ECB is really going to be pivotal and really going to matter. Again, banks pushing, obviously. They think that Powell's going to come in lower. Again, this is a huge consolidation area, so really watching it keeps consolidating. GS hasn't actually starting to try to break back through. If this does break back down, definitely a bad thing, but we'll definitely watch Goldman Sachs, as they did well on earnings. Bank of America bouncing back. Again, these banks you definitely want to watch and see. They can tell you first what happens, and the market soon follows after that. So, but with all that being said, that's pretty much what I got. It is a Thursday. I had a lot of information because it was a big day today. I said a lot. I led with a lot of information, then kind of went through the charts real quick because, again, my opinion, there's not really much to watch right now. Right now, we're trying to wait and see what happens. I've been playing a lot of the index and pretty much just a lot of the indexes I've been playing, a lot of intraday scalping, and not playing really anything else because of just the moves. The moves are very tight, dropping it down to the 5 minutes and playing on there just because the moves are so tight. So experimenting, I don't typically do that, but markets like this, you got to adjust. And then when things go back to normal, because things do cycle all the time, you just wait and survive until that point. So with that being said, if you've made this far, I do appreciate you. Go ahead and drop a like. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.